Good morning. So day 2 of your 5-day weight loss intermittent fasting challenge. So today your eating window is going to be a 6-hour eating window, so between 2 and 8. So remember, abstain from food, anything with calories. We're going to make sure we're getting lots of water, green tea, black tea. Make sure you get your hydration drink for maybe newbies or people who have overindulged over the Christmas period. Your body is craving those things. Your body will dehydrate very quick. Make sure you take your hydration drink maybe twice if you want, alright? But we're going to talk about hydration today. But just on a side note, remember, we're trying to use fat for fuel. The whole point of this intermittent fasting challenge, or this fasting challenge, is that whenever we're not eating the fuel source that we're using, because we're still using fuel when we're not eating, we're just not getting the fuel from the food source that we eat. We're trying to get it from body fat, right? So what we're trying to do here is to mobilize as much fat, stored fat, to use as energy. Now, the difficult thing about using fat for energy is it's stored, all right? When we eat carbohydrates basically is floating around the bloodstream, and then stored in the muscle is glycogen, but stored in the place where it's going to be used. So if I store energy in the muscle and I contract the muscle, the energy's there to be used, right, straight away. So that's why it's stored in the muscle, and a wee bit stored in the liver as a backup. So if I start to deplete the muscle too much, the liver will try to supply it with some straight away. But the alternative source then is body fat. Now, body fat's stored as triglycerides. What that means is there's 3 fatty molecules stored on a glycerol backbone. So it's like, think about a wee backbone of glycerol with 3 wee spikes, and the fatty molecules stuck to those. You have to liberate the glycerol from the fat molecule and mobilize the fat molecule into the liver, for the liver then to turn that or convert that into glucose if it needs to be, or take it straight to the cell as to be used part of your aerobic system through the Krebs cycle. Again, I apologize for making this sound so complicated, but it is. I'm trying to simplify it as much as possible. So we got to mobilize the fat cells from the triglyceride backbone. We've got to mobilize the fat cells. Black coffee is really good at liberating fat cells, right? And also green tea. So this is why we want to promote coffee first thing in the morning, green tea. So when we need the energy, we want the fat cells to be mobilized straight away, so then we can then utilize that energy, because all this takes a bit of time, so it takes a bit of processing. This is why the longer we fast, the more effective it is for fat burning, because we start to liberate more of those fat cells, right? The fat cells have to be then oxidized, which means that's how the fat cells actually burnt as energy. It's oxidation, beta oxidation. So we've got to mobilize the cell first, the fatty molecule. We've got to get that fatty molecule into the system, into the cell, and then we've got to oxidize it within the cell. So it takes a long time to get that energy in, although it gives you a lot more energy than carbohydrates does, right? Because we're talking about ATP. Again, I'm getting far too technical and far too deep, but anyway, we use ATP for cells. 1 unit of glycogen or carbohydrate will give you 1 unit of ATP. 1 unit of fat molecule, one fat molecule will give you about 32 to 36 units of ATP. So look how much more energy there is, but we can't supply it in a very quick demand. We can supply it in a very slow, steady demand. For example, aerobic activity, going for walks. If we up our exertion level and we need instant energy, or we need the energy slightly quicker, then we outrun our aerobic capacity and move into our anaerobic capacity. Anaerobic means we're trying to use the energy stored within the muscle because it's there ready to be used. So that's your high intensity work, low intensity work, aerobic, anaerobic fashion, right? Again, I apologize for making this very deep, but understanding the process helps. So if you're getting a wee bit tired, you think I have no energy, don't revert to food. Just say, lost a cup of coffee. The caffeine will give me energy, but the caffeine's also going to mobilize those fat cells, liberate the fat cells, so they're mobilized in the system, so then they can be oxidized for energy. So it is quite a taxing system. So the longer we fast, this system now starts to generate and keeps going. This is why you'll find the longer you fast, you get near your eating window and you're thinking, do you know what, I can really just keep going here. It's because now that system's now supplying the body with energy at a nice slow steady pace. Does that make sense? Good. Right, so we're talking about hydration. Hydration is the number 1 key that allowed me to maintain my weight loss. I struggled for years trying to lose weight and keep it off, always put some back on, lose weight, bust myself in the gym, work really hard, have like a cutting phase. I might hear bodybuilders or people going for a show or people going for a photo shoot, this really cutting phase where you're trying to cut. then all of a sudden, if you get to your target goal, if you get to the weight, good job. But maintaining it then so fucking hard, you always put the weight back on. Right? And then the wee things that sort of sabotage you along the way. For example, I'm doing really well on my diet. I have a few drinks on a Saturday night, which there's nothing wrong with. You know, it's not something I would say you shouldn't be doing. But it's the aftermath of the alcohol consumption. It's the food that you eat there on a Sunday that kind of ruins the amount of calories that you try to work with during the week. And we have this eating fest. Now the key's actually just dehydration, right? When I learned this a few years ago, about 10 years ago, and I learned that hydration was the key to staving off hunger and these cravings, then I didn't crave the foods as much. So here, we're going to break this down a wee bit. So whenever we're fasting, we're restricting calories, right? If we do keto, we're restricting carbohydrates. When we fast for a long time, we're restricting carbohydrates because we're not eating anything. Now, again, I'm going to try and not get too technical with this, but please stay with me, because some of this information, although some of it might go over your head, some of it will stay in. So in the next videos, when we start talking wee bits and pieces, hopefully all the jigsaw pieces come together for you. Right, so we're talking about carbohydrates, but see where we talk about that energy system, and the carbohydrates is stored in the muscle as glycogen, right? Let's just call it carbohydrates. Well, it's carbohydrates that's stored in the muscle. That's the raw form. It's converted into glucose, converted into glycogen, to stored in the muscle as glycogen. But anyway, let's just call it carbohydrates. It's stored in the muscle for instant energy. Remember, 1 unit of energy, or 1 unit of carbohydrates will give you 1 unit of ATP, which is instant energy. Right, so we're not eating, and as we're moving and as we're doing everyday stuff, and even as for cellular function, as we're sleeping, we're using that energy, we're using it up, right? So it comes to the point now where you're using up all that energy and you're not supplying the body with any carbohydrates. We're not talking about the fat, the mobilized fat system, we're talking about you're not supplying the body with carbohydrates. Therefore, the stored muscle energy starts to deplete. Does that make sense? We're depleting that glycogen level. Now you've got to understand that 1 gram of carbohydrate, glycogen, 1 gram of carbohydrate will hold between maybe 3 and 4 grams of fluid within the muscle with it, right? Because we need to keep the body hydrated for the function we go on. It's what we call a sodium potassium pump. We need fluid coming in and out of the muscle. We need basically fluid around the cell and everything, even for neurological function. Remember, neurological means that there's an electrical signal coming from your brain to the cell to tell it to do something. Well, that electricity conducts itself through water, so it really a nice good cellular function, right? So the gram of carbohydrates holds fluid within the muscle, within the body. That's called being hydrated. Now, we've gone a long time burning food, we've depleted all the glycogen, and let's say even more so you've gone to the gym and you've done resistance training, remember that high intensity anaerobic work, and we've depleted all the muscles. We're not replenishing it with the food that we're eating. Therefore, the body can't instantly replenish the carbohydrates or the amount of fluid that was held within the muscle. Okay, so we've depleted the fluid that was on the muscle as well as the energy within the muscle. Remember, it was 1 gram of carbohydrate, but it was actually 34 grams of fluid. So that's a lot of weight. This is why a lot of people in the first week of a conventional diet or a keto diet might lose half a stone or more. It wasn't body fat, folks. Right, and we'll talk about that in the next video that we do about energy balance. It's physiologically impossible for it to be all just body fat. It was a lot of fluid, because remember, 1 gram of carbohydrates will hold about 34 grams of fluid. That's a lot of water. So we're depleting all that. So we pass out all the water. So we now become dehydrated. The muscle is dehydrated with fluid because there's no glycogen or carbohydrates to retain the fluid within the muscle. The muscle now becomes dehydrated. This is every cell in your body, your brain, everything. Now, you might think, well, okay, I'm going to drink loads of water, which is all well and good, but we've got no way of getting that water into the muscle. All you'll do then is just pee it all out and actually dilute any minerals, right? Because remember, dehydration is because of the mineral retention in the water. You'll just pee it out and you'll dehydrate yourself even more, which makes the thing even worse, which means you get the more water you drink, the more thirsty you get, the more thirsty you get, the more water you drink, and you're just making the situation worse because you've no way of getting the water that you've drank into the cell. Here's where sodium comes in, or salt, sodium chloride, right? Not table salt. See the white fine table salt that you have? That's a fucking heart attack. That's the worst invention man ever fucking created. It should be something like that. See the rock salt, Himalayan salt. We keep it in the gym. I would actually put it into my pre-workout. I take it every day. So the more salt I take, the less cravings I get, because you got to understand how your body craves food. So let's say I am hungry. I am actually hungry. I've gone a long time with no food. Right. Now, by food, you've got to understand the definition of food. The definition of food is energy and nutrients, right? If I'm missing one of those, right, for example, Himalayan salt has got 82 minerals in it. Potassium, magnesium, zinc, all those minerals that your body needs for cellular function to happen. So like I said, you've got a sodium potassium pump, right? So whenever the muscle contracts, it needs water coming in and out of the cell. Sodium pumps it in, potassium pulls it out. Sodium pumps it in, potassium pulls it out. Sodium pumps it in, potassium pulls it out. But if we're depleted, that sodium's depleted as well too. So if we take like a hydration drink, or the hydration drink that we're talking about with sodium, we force more sodium into the muscle. That sodium will also drag water into the muscle the same way that the carbohydrates did. So we now keep the body hydrated. Okay? Because whenever your body's hungry for nutrients, food, anything, right? It could be water, it could be fat. Because remember, as human beings, we're evolutionarily programmed to crave fats because it's high energy, sugar because it's instant energy, protein because it's cellular repair, and also sodium. Right? You ever hear the expression, somebody's not worth their salt? People used to actually get paid in salt. The Roman soldiers used to get paid in bags of salt because you could preserve food with it. You kept yourself hydrated with it. Salt means food, right? Please don't ever have a life where there's no salt in your food. I know a lot of people have now been demonized by salt and they think salt's a heart attack. White salt is not this stuff. This is life. This is vital, right, for your blood function, cellular function, muscle contraction, all that kind of stuff. This is why when they give you a heart attack, they give you a diuretic to take away the fluid from around the heart, because you're holding fluid retention because your body's basically fucking dehydrated, right? So if you're lacking in any of those nutrients that are vital for life, your body will sell out ghrelin. It's a hunger hormone called ghrelin. It'll go to the brain saying, gimme. But it won't differentiate between, well, it does sometimes. You know, some people, fuck, I love something salty. Or Jesus, I'm craving something sweet. You're lacking in one of those things, but the body can't really identify which one it is you want. You're just, I'm fucking starving of my hunger. You're dehydrated, right? If you keep the body hydrated, the body will think, I'm full, I've got everything I need, happy days, I can mobilize fat for fuel, I've got all the energy I need because it's sitting here in my body. But you're mistaking the dehydration signal for actual, I need food, energy. Guys, listen to this. If you have body fat on your body, you have energy. You just haven't taught your body how to use it because you get a wee dehydration signal because you've gone a long time, and then you want to eat. You've got to understand the signals, all right? So sodium really is the key. I drank this here, you get this Naughty Boy stuff. Anybody lives local, McGinley's sells this, right? Hydration. And I would, after every workout, I drank that first thing in the morning. I drink it, if I'm going to have a few beer, I'll drink it before I have a few beer. I'll drink it when I get home, and I'll drink it in the water. And the next day with water. The next day, I don't crave food anymore. All my sugar cravings, all my salty cravings, all the Sunday cravings have gone away. And it was because I learned about hydration, right? You gotta keep the body hydrated. So multiple times a day. Remember, if you exercise, you deplete minerals through your sweat. Right? When you sleep, you deplete minerals through your sweat. When you drink, the reason why you have those cravings the next day is because you have dehydrated yourself. Remember, alcohol turns into ethanol. Ethanol in the liver, the body says, this is a poison, get it fucking out of me. So you pee to get this stuff out, but you also dehydrate yourself. You wake up in the morning, I want to eat. But in reality, you've just lost all your sodium. You're dehydrated. Does that make sense? So if you want to curb your cravings that you have during the day, the ones that sabotage you at the weekend, stay hydrated. Now, we've got to be real here. There's caveats to this. There are people who crave from an emotional standpoint. There's emotional cravings. They're different. That requires some mindset work, or a bit of journal, maybe even a bit of therapy sometimes, because I've had those. But from food craving, from that salty craving, stay hydrated. All right?